on demand or simply tell Alexa to play KBLA Talk 1580. And there we are for your listening pleasure. Last but certainly not least, be sure to subscribe to a More Perfect Union podcast and never, ever, ever miss an episode. You get to carry us with you everywhere you go. That's right, even when you're right here in the Bahamas. And I'll be telling you why I'm here on assignment in the Bahamas in a little bit. But be sure to pick up Kamala, The Motherland, and Me. Can't thank you enough for making it an Amazon bestseller. One of the best compliments I've received of the book is that it is a Kamala Harris myth buster. As much as folks may be working to try and make it seem as if she's not like us, this reader said that actually found that she's more like us than I thought. And so I'm glad that that particular reader had that particular experience, but I want you to have your own experience with the book. And so go out and pick it up, Kamala, The Motherland, and Me, an invitation to challenge your assumptions about Madam Vice President, Africa, and ourselves. I haven't decided if I'm going to be sending a copy to Janet Jackson. We'll be talking about that in a moment. But it's time for your national news roundup. It's time for the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. And just before we went on air, a little bit of breaking news for people who are following this case in Colorado. Colorado man's been found guilty of murdering 10 people at King Soopers supermarket in Boulder in 2021. NBC News reporting that a Colorado jury today convicted the man accused of gunning down 10 people at a Boulder supermarket on all counts stemming from the horrific attack more than 3 years ago. Ahmad Alisa, 25, was found guilty on all 55 charges, including 10 counts of first-degree murder coming out of the March 22nd, 2021 assault at King Soopers. Each one of the verdicts reached by the Boulder County panel was read aloud in the courtroom. Jurors deliberated for about 6 hours since getting the case Friday afternoon. Alyssa remained seated as the verdict was read and didn't appear to show any demonstrative reaction. He appeared to speak with his defense team for much of this process. The verdict and speed in which it was reached was expected, according to KUSA's legal analyst, Whitney Traylor. And so a little bit of news breaking as we came on air. But in election news, Trump says that he wouldn't run in 2028 if he loses in November. NPR is reporting that if the former president loses the election in November again, he wouldn't be running in 4 years. That's at least what he's telling interviewers, or told them last week. The Republican presidential nominee spoke with Sinclair Broadcast Group journalist Cheryl Atkinson at his Mar-a-Lago residence on Friday for the interview. The wide-ranging conversation spanned the recent assassination attempts against Trump, his administration's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic, his health regimen, golf, and quote-unquote proper hamburgers, all right, and his plans for a potential second term, including whether he would appoint Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Elon Musk, and Tulsi Gabbard, all of whom have endorsed him, to his cabinet. He said it was too early, but didn't rule it out. And it ended with Atkinson asking Trump whether he sees himself running again in 2028 if his current presidential bid, his third in a row, is unsuccessful. For the former president saying, "No, I don't. No, I don't. I think that that will be it. I don't see that at all. I think that hopefully we're going to be successful." It's a rare admission of a possible defeat by the former president, who has spread false claims about voter fraud and election interference to explain his loss in 2020 and preemptively stoke fears about 2024. He's previously said that the only way he can lose this November is if there is voter fraud. That's what he said. And so in other Trump news, and this is part of the reason why you can't just brush him off. this race is a lot closer than what I think some people understand, and that's why we are on and off the campaign trail. This is why we are committed to covering this election closely and giving you all the information that you need. Trump is leading in 3 battleground Sun Belt states. This is according to a recent New York Times poll. USA Today is reporting that the former president leads Vice President Harris in 3 critical battleground states: Arizona, North Carolina, and Georgia. This is according to this new poll by the New York Times and Siena College. The poll, which was released today and conducted from September 17th to the 21st, surveyed 713 voters in Arizona, almost 700 voters in Georgia, almost 700 voters in North Carolina. Each state has a margin of error between 4 and 5 percentage points. Voters in all 3 states expressed concerns about the economy, abortion, immigration, and the direction of the country as a whole. Both candidates were viewed unfavorably by the majority of respondents, with 50% viewing Trump and 51% viewing Harris as somewhat or very unfavorable. In North Carolina, a state that has not voted for a Democratic presidential candidate since 2008, Trump leads. His lead is a narrow 49 to 47 margin. That is within the margin of error. But in Arizona and Georgia, 2 states that narrowly went to President Biden in the 2020 election, Trump is now leading Harris by a slightly higher margin, 50 to 45% in Arizona, 49 to 45% in Georgia. And so make no mistake, there is a lot of work to do within the next 6 weeks. This is going to be a squeaker election. In other news, students exit Gettysburg College after a racial slur is carved on a teammate. I could hardly believe it when I saw this. NPR reporting that a student at Gettysburg College in southern Pennsylvania has left the school after a campus investigation found the student responsible for etching a racial slur across another student's chest during a social gathering earlier this month. Gettysburg College told NPR that the student was no longer enrolled, but declined to comment on whether the student was expelled or decided to leave, citing student privacy laws. The name of the students involved also have not been made public. Over the past few weeks, the small liberal arts college of some 2,200 students made national headlines after the school announced it was investigating a report of a hate crime. According to the school's website, 62% of its students are white, while 21% are non-international students of color. The incident occurred on September 6th during an informal gathering among the men's swim team at an on-campus residence, according to statements made by the college and the victim's family. There, a student used a box cutter to write the N-word across their teammate's chest. The victim's family wrote in a statement published Friday in the campus newspaper, the Gettysburgian, and the family added that their son was the only person of color at the gathering. Yeah. A box cutter, you're writing the N-word in somebody's chest, and this is all the college has to say about it? Something don't smell right. Finally, when we come forward, we'll be welcoming Areva Martin, the host of Areva Martin in Real Time, right here on KBLA Talk 1580. She's also a CNN legal analyst, and we have lots to talk about related to Sean Diddy Combs. His music streams jump after his arrest and his indictment. What's that about? Plus, Janet Jackson's apology, well, it didn't come from the pop star. She made it, and then she took it away. And today, the fallout continues related to that sorry, not sorry moment when it comes to Janet Jackson and the VP. Plus, a little bit later, we'll give you a taste of what's happening in North Carolina related to Mark Robinson's gubernatorial campaign. Just about everybody's resigned, but he's still running. We're going to talk to Ariba about all of those headlines and more. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
The quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580. Tabitha Smiley's new book, The Covenant with Black America, 20 years later, is now on sale everywhere. This classic text shot to #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list almost 2 decades ago. If you have the original book, you will surely want to get this 20th anniversary edition with powerful new contributions from today's leading voices. This 20th anniversary edition presents a compelling blend of historical insights and contemporary urgency in this critical and unprecedented election year. Get your copy of The Covenant with Black America 20 years later today.
Don't settle for bumps, ingrowns, and itch due to dry skin. Try Venus for pubic hair and skin, the razor and regimen specifically designed for your pubic area, featuring a razor with patented irritation defense bar and skincare regimen that is dermatologist and gynecologist tested. Venus helps protect your pubic skin from shave irritation. Discover the full regimen of products at GilletteVenus.com.
Paul's new drone startup just lost its most genius computer scientist.
We just lost our best genius to some new genius who's got a genius new idea. I'm going to have to find a new genius or 2 half geniuses and fast.
He needs a computer scientist that can keep his startup from falling down.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
This is the story of the one. As a facility technician installing a new welding station, he knows getting the ventilation right is critical for safety. That's why when questions arise, there's Grainger. Grainger offers detailed technical product information online at his fingertips, so it's easy to find what he needs. Because when it comes to safety, having answers means he and his people can breathe a little easier. Call, click Grainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
We're not for everybody, but we're for everybody. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, joining you live from the Bahamas, and delighted to welcome my colleague, my friend, Ariba Martin. She is the host of Ariba Martin in Real Time, right here on KBLA Talk 1580, weekdays at 4 p.m. Pacific. That's 7 p.m. Eastern. And she's also CNN legal analyst and a civil rights attorney like no other. Welcome back to the show, Ariba.
Okay, I'm still stuck at the Bahamas.
I'm here at the invitation of the Morehouse Alumni Association. There's a Black Men's Summit that they're hosting here that I'm speaking at tomorrow. And so that's why I made the jaunt from DC to the Bahamas.
Fabulous, fabulous. Well, enjoy. I'm sure the audience, whether it's students or alumni, will be enriched by your comments and your speech, and get some fun while you're there. I mean, there's a lot of stressful things happening in the U.S. So when you return, you know, there's so much work to be done. And I heard you talk about those polls. So the polls have been just all over the place. And a friend sent me something early this morning saying, don't get confused or get hung up on these polls, because the reality is that this race is tight. And we just got to keep working from that premise. Don't worry that it says Trump is up a couple of points in any of these battleground states. We are still in this game and can still win this election.
I think you're right. And I think it's important to note that most of these polls, what they're not saying is that it's still within the margin of error, which means it's a toss-up, which means it's going to be about who has the strongest ground game. So this isn't just about, you know, who's on air, but it's how are folks organized on the ground? How are they converting their support into votes cast? We know that ballots have started to hit mailboxes in different parts of the country, or will be this week. And so the chase is on to make sure that people cast those ballots, they submit those ballots, vote by mail, has been an advantage for Democrats in the past several election cycles. And so you're absolutely right. Let's not get hung up on who's up and who's down in which poll. But P. Diddy has been just dominating social media, all media. This case is going to be like none other we have seen. CBS News is reporting that his music catalog saw a jump in streams after he was arrested and charged with federal sex trafficking and racketeering last week. The industry data and analytics company Luminate said that the music mogul's music under his many monikers, including Diddy, Puff Daddy, and P. Diddy, saw an average 18.3% increase in on-demand streams during the week of his arrest compared to prior weeks. Ariva, what do you make of this?
Not very much. We saw that when R. Kelly was arrested. There's some initial interest, curiosity that people have, but over time, if these charges are proven in a court of law, if he is convicted, I suspect he will go the way that R. Kelly has gone, which is, just a predator in our community that no one wants to be associated with. So I don't make much of these temporary increases in folks just listening to his music. A lot of folks are trying to figure out how can they listen to music that he's a part of without having him be in the music. So, there may be folks who are just checking out those streams, trying to figure out, how do we continue to enjoy hip hop, the era that he was so popular, the time period that he was so popular, because, he's featured on a lot of other hip hop artists, some of the greatest hip hop artists we know, he's collaborated with. So one of the guests I have regularly on my show is a historian. He's a hip hop expert, and he's trying to figure out how do I continue to enjoy that era of music without supporting Diddy. So that's what I make of that.
Yeah, and do you think that there will be a spillover effect? I mean, there are so many artists, to your point, that are connected to him. We've in the case file, we've seen some of them sort of mentioned in the case file. I suspect that there are a whole lot of other people in his orbit that will at least be called in to account for what they knew and when they knew it. Might that affect the industry, in ways that we haven't seen before?
Well, clearly, it's expected that this is going to be the beginning of a reckoning in the music industry. Some folks say that the music industry did not go the way of the entertainment industry when we saw Harvey Weinstein and some of the other folks that work in entertainment, be held accountable. That music folks, executives, and artists were in some ways spared. They were not, targeted in the same way that big executives in the movie and film and TV industry were. So some believe this to be the beginning of that. The Me Too moment, the Me Too movement, actually impacting this music business, which has a history of misogyny, which has a history of abuse towards women. We've seen some high-level women in the music industry come out and talk about how they've been blackballed, how they've been ostracized, how their careers have been ended simply for talking about abuse, talking about sexual abuse and the sexism that they have faced in this industry. So I think this Me Too movement, has caused a seismic shift in the way this country views sexual assault and the victims of sexual assault. And there's not going to be any industry that will be spared. And if you are one of the predators that engage in the kind of conduct that we've, seen in some of these high profile cases, I suspect you should be trying to get your affairs in order, because you're not safe, because women have found their voices and they're not going to stop until these predators are held accountable.
Lawyer up. That's what I heard you say. Lawyer up.
There's an order, Diddy made the move from Miami, Los Angeles, wherever, to New York, and he did not leave that courtroom. I mean, he was detained and will be detained until his trial. So this is not an era where your money or your power can shield you from liability or accountability. I don't know if you saw, Dr. Nee, what his team offered in terms of what they thought would be fair for him to be out on bail pending his trial. It was him to be held up in his $50 million mansion in Miami with a private 24-hour security team guarding him. And the court said, absolutely positively not, because of your history of contacting witnesses, of your history of using gaslighting techniques, intimidation techniques to try to get witnesses in line with your narrative. And the judge did not trust that he would not continue those tactics of intimidation. And, I'm sorry, spending your time in your $50 million mansion with your private security is not how our judicial system works for the everyday person. And this is not a situation where your money has that kind of clout.
Well, speaking of clout, Janet Jackson and the Jackson family certainly has enjoyed a lot of clout, but that clout may be running out. Janet Jackson's apology for repeating Kamala Harris' conspiracy theory did not come from the pop star, says her reps. People magazine is reporting that a person who's claiming to be Janet Jackson's manager issued an unauthorized apology, according to the singer's rep. A rep for Janet told People on Sunday that El Masari is not Janet's manager, nor is he affiliated with her camp. The rep says Randy Jackson is her manager. The statement issued earlier on Sunday from El Masari, whom the singer's rep says did not represent Janet in any capacity, claimed that the singer was sorry for comments about Harris, quotes, based on misinformation. On Saturday, for folks who may be less familiar with the story, Janet falsely claimed to The Guardian that Harris isn't Black, repeating a right-wing conspiracy theory. During the interview with the UK outlet, it was mentioned that Harris could become the first Black woman to be elected president. In response, Janet said, well, you know what they supposedly said? She's not Black. That's what I heard, that she's Indian. And whether the reporter responded that Harris is both Janet, or when the reporter responded that Harris is both, Janet falsely claimed, well, her father's white. That's what I was told. I mean, I haven't watched the news in a few days. Ariva, what do you make of this?
I'm going to give my sister some grace, because the fact that you haven't watched the news in a few days, I know their brother died, Tito Jackson. So I know this is a difficult time for this family. I just wish folks who are not informed would just say, I don't follow politics. I have not been following politics. I don't have an opinion on this. If you don't know, but please don't repeat baseless claims and then say that you haven't followed the news in a couple of days, because this isn't a couple of days old news story. Kamala Harris has been in the news as a public servant for decades, and her father has been in the news for decades. Her mother has been in the news for decades. So you don't need to have tuned in 3 days ago to know that that's a false claim. And I just would like to think that Janet was misled. She got bad information. She got bad advice. And Janet doesn't speak for anyone other than Janet. So hopefully Janet's team, her family, or someone will give her some better information so that she will be better informed the next time she's asked, or she will at least know enough to say, I don't have any information on this. I'd rather talk about my concert. Let's stay focused on why I am here. I assume she was not interviewed to talk about Kamala Harris. I assume the interview had something to do with her promoting her concert. So there are a lot of people, Dr. Nee, who have bought into these Republican talking points. And that's our job, is to disabuse them of this bad information. And we don't have to litigate Kamala Harris's race or ethnicity. That's been litigated over and over and over again.
It's just a little strange to me that, somebody who's the mother of a biracial kid couldn't seem to hold the idea that Kamala Harris can be, Black and Indian. She can be multiracial, multi-heritage.
She said her father was white. So remember, you just read that she said, no, her dad's white. So she didn't have the dad being Black at all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
According to this report. I mean, we're just, looking at what the report is. The internet wasn't too kind to Janet, and I'm just going to give her grace because her brother died. And I just hope after this funeral, after the memorial, whatever they do for Tito, who was loved in our community, that someone has a conversation with Janet, and Janet corrects the record, a statement from her correcting the record. I don't think it matters. I don't think anybody's sitting around making decisions about how they're voting based on anything Janet Jackson says. She hasn't been Someone I read said, that they led a very isolated life, that they were Jehovah's Witnesses, and we know Jehovah's Witnesses don't vote typically. So, she may not follow politics because she may have grown up in a religious environment that, forbade her from being involved in politics. So there are lots of reasons that she might have this kind of uninformed, response.
Well, we are in the business of keeping people informed. And when we come forward, we're digging even deeper into the headlines. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey. She is Areva Martin, the host of Areva Martin in Real Time right here on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. Staffers are leaving the campaign for Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson. The Republican is now running for governor, but has faced problems since he was called out last week for allegedly referring to himself as a black Nazi and calling himself a perv on an adult film website forum before he entered politics over a decade ago. 4 people who worked on Robinson's campaign staff resigned over the weekend. Robinson says he feels like he is in a strong position. The Chicago contract for ShotSpotter has expired. 24th Ward Alderwoman Monique Stott says she expects that a special city council meeting will be held soon on the matter concerning the gun detection technology. Last week, the city council voted 33-14 to give Black Police Superintendent Larry Snelling power over the contract with ShotSpotter. Mayor Brandon Johnson, who is also Black, called the move illegal and said he would veto the legislation. The city council can override the veto with 34 votes. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton with your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Staples prints anything you need for your business, like banners, flyers, and signs. And Staples will beat any price quote. Plus, now print more, save more, up to $150 off your print purchase. Offer ends 11/2. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details or staples.com/price match for price match guarantee.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
A little more info on Rams backup wide receiver Xavier Smith, the undrafted rookie from HBCU Florida A&M. Smith was one of the stars in Sunday's win over the 49ers. When Smith had the crucial 37-yard punt return with a minute left, it was the first time he touched the ball in an NFL regular season game. Smith was on the Rams practice squad until Saturday. He was promoted for Sunday's game because of the Rams' injury issues at wide receiver. With the game tied at 24 and the Rams needing field position, Rams coach Sean McVay made a surprise decision to send out Smith to return the 49ers punt. Smith's return set up the Rams' game-winning field goal with 2 seconds left. Smith is one of 3 Florida A&M players on an active NFL roster. Isaiah Land is a defensive end with the Indianapolis Colts, and Marquise Bell is a defensive back with the Dallas Cowboys. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hey there, it's Karen.
And I'm Ernest. We're the co-hosts of Food for Thought with Karen and Ernest here on KBLA Talk 1580. Make sure you check us out Saturdays at 8 p.m.
And our rebroadcast happens on Sundays at 7 p.m. We'll be talking about the art of dining. We'll be giving food tips, talking to sommeliers, chefs, concierges, all the food influencers, everything food, everything dining. And sometimes with some of our friends just hanging out and talking food.
And when you listen to our show, we have a segment called Hot Dishes. Sometimes unpopular opinions, but we said what we said and we meant what we meant.
Also, we do food reviews with who's hot and who's not.
Yeah, you make sure you guys check out Food for Thought with Karen and Ernest here on KBLA. We've got a lot to talk about.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Looking for a purposeful and passionate way to make a difference in your community? Volunteer with our Senior Medicare Patrol and help prevent Medicare fraud. S&P volunteers work in their community, educating peers about healthcare fraud and how to prevent and detect it. Free training starts soon. Check us out online or at an S&P open house near you. We're on a mission to stop fraud. Join our team. You make a difference. Visit ca-smp-volunteer.org. Black Women for Wellness and Stand LA are standing up against harmful oil drilling in South Los Angeles. Our Bad Neighbors campaign exposes the serious health risks of drilling in our neighborhoods. You've seen the billboards, posters, and coffee sleeves around South LA. Now join the movement to protect our health, our families, and our future. Visit bwwla.org/no-drilling to learn more and get involved. That's bwwla.org/no-drilling.
I need you, dollar, dollar, dollar. That's what I need.
KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates small businesses, the enduring lifeblood of our community, with the launch of the KBLA SMB Marketplace. For the first time, small to medium-sized businesses will have an opportunity to promote their goods and services on KBLA and take advantage of our powerful reach and local marketing power. The SMB Marketplace is hosted exclusively on KBLA1580.com and is accessible from all our social media channels. Whether you're a small mom and pop restaurant, a car dealership, or a professional practitioner, we invite you to join in this new KBLA Talk 1580 initiative to promote your business. As a Black-owned small business, you don't want to miss this unique opportunity to gain new customers on KBLA Talk 1580. For more information, contact us today at smb@kbla1580.com. That's smb@kbla1580.com. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
And if I share with you my story, would you share your shadow with me?
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where everybody is somebody and nobody is a stranger. You belong here.
Unmute. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and here in conversation with Areva Martin, the host of Areva Martin in Real Time. She's a CNN legal analyst, and together we got our finger on the pulse of some of the biggest national headlines that are trending, particularly political headlines this election season. Areva, I'm sure you saw this NPR story about a key Nebraska Republican who's rejected Trump's push to shake up the electoral map. For folks who are less familiar, Nebraska state senator who's Republicans hope would help ease former President Trump's path to the White House by agreeing to change how the state allocates its electoral college votes, said today that he would not do so, ending a brief but intense lobbying effort from allies of Mr. Trump and VP Harris. We're talking about state legislator Mike McDonald, a Democrat turned Republican from Omaha, who said that he would not agree to change Nebraska's 32-year tradition of awarding 3 of the state's 5 electoral votes by congressional district to a winner-takes-all system based on the statewide popular vote. Areva, we know that the Republicans are doing everything they can to change the rules in real time, whether we're talking about Nebraska or Georgia or other parts of the country. What do you make of what's happening in Nebraska?
Well, one, I give a lot of credit to that Republican state senator, because if we are going to have a fair election this season, we need not just Democrats, we need Republicans who are not going to be pushed around, who are not going to capitulate to the pressure of Donald Trump and team. Donald Trump does not deserve and should not be given any special accommodations or changes to state electoral laws just so that he can win this election. If he wins, he needs to win the election fair and square. That seems to be a very difficult concept for him to process, as our VP told us during that debate. He has a hard time processing the concept of him losing as he did from the 2020 election. But we do know, Dr. Nee, that Republicans, not all have the courage that this state rep has. Many will do things in their states to change the law. Some will cheat even without a change in statutory language. So we've got to be so diligent. And that's why I've said all along, Dr. Nee, that we need Obama 08 turnout from Democrats, from the coalition that got Obama elected in 08, because the win needs to be so big that we are not haggling over 5,000 votes or 10,000 votes or 11,000 votes. That's why the story, I don't know if you saw this story today that said that African American media outlets were pretty upset with the Harris campaign team. They did a roll call on names because they said money wasn't being released into Black media outlets. And they said that was a problem because you can't have non-Black folks telling the story and connecting with Black voters. And that when you look at all the money the campaign is raising, we need to see more parity. So I hope that message gets all the way to our good friend Kamala Harris and that she directs her team. And the article says she has been directing the team. So she has been on top of this, but somehow the folks that are the gatekeepers aren't getting the message. And we would hate to see Black voters not vote for Trump. No worry about that. But just not come out and over-index in the way that we need to because some grassroots Black organization didn't get that money that's needed to knock on those doors to, activate in these communities. So I hope the word goes back to the highest level of the campaign. Loosen up those purse strings. We don't need to save any money. We need to leave it all on the field. We need to spend everywhere we can on everything that possibly can have an impact on this election because it is going to be so close. And we know they're trusted messengers in the Black community. And in this article, Derek Johnson from the NAACP is quoted. So if Derek Johnson is having problems with the NAACP, what does that say for smaller, non-national organizations? We can't have that. We can't have us looking back, 50 days from now saying, oh my God, we did not spend enough with these Black media outlets. We got to make sure that Black folks over-index, and we can do it. We've seen it, but we cannot take any vote for granted, and we can't have 2012 Obama, 2016 Hillary, or 2020 Biden. To win this, we're going to need 208 Obama Black folk voting, and we got to do that with all hands on deck.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And you're referring to the Notice article entitled Black Operatives Are Furious Over How Kamala Harris Campaign is Spending Money. This is an article published today by Jasmine Wright and Nua Dolby, in which case, you're right, a number of folks are quoted in there. Lots of food for thought to Quentin Folks on the campaign. This is a part of his portfolio. And Jen O'Malley Dillon and, others on the campaign. You're right. If the boss said, we need to be investing more in, minority firms. And if that has not happened, right, then that can be problematic. And, I don't think anybody on the Harris Walz campaigns on November 6th, the day after the election, wants to wonder, wow, what could have happened if we would have invested more in the ground game here, or more Black media outlets, or Latino outlets, or other minority outlets here and there. And so, point taken. Yes. I think it's also important that we note where we've been and where we are now when it comes to crime statistics. We know that the former president has tried to make it appear as if we're living in America in carnage at every twist and turn. The Washington Post is reporting that with crime on the election agenda, the FBI has given the final 2023 crime stats, and the data shows that car theft was one of the few crimes with a notable increase between 2022 and 2023, up an estimated 23%. But the FBI's 2023 crime in the nation report is based on submissions of crime from nearly 17,000 law enforcement agencies. The report was released as former President Trump has questioned the veracity of crime statistics while campaigning. And according to the report, violent crime dropped 3% between 2022 and 2023, with murder and non-negligent homicide down 11.6%. Reported rape offenses dropped 9.4%, and property crime decreased 2.4%. Those are the facts. Are these facts enough to cut through the noise in the public square, particularly coming from the Trump-Vance campaign?
Not for those MAGA voters, Nee. We know that those voters don't care. They're not going to listen, because what Trump has done is he set up this dichotomy of two Americas. one where you can't walk across the street without getting raped or mugged, or you can't meet an immigrant that is not a rapist or a murderer, versus the America that we live in, where crime is down, streets are safe, people are going about their lives, they are hopeful for the future. So we have this split screen. And those that believe Donald Trump, they're going to always find a reason to discount the factual data. So they'll say those crime statistics are crooked or phony, and that they're only being promoted by the Biden team to cause, the Democrats to win. But that the images that Trump wants, that's why he has to, say that Haitians eat their pets without any evidence, because they don't deal in evidence. They don't deal in facts. So we can't even, Mark Robinson, they talked to some MAGA folks about all the drama that Mark Robinson, someone said they don't believe any of that Mark is a nice guy, that he would never be on a porn site, that he would never say he was a black Nazi. So those voters, they're so, baked into the MAGA movement that we can't move them, but we don't need them to win. That's what we have to remind ourselves. There are more of us who do care about facts, who do care about this democracy, who do see hope in our future, than there are people who want to just disbelieve and buy into this alternative, universe that Donald Trump has set up. So I think we just keep telling the facts like they are and keep celebrating the fact that this country is doing a lot better under Biden and Harris than it ever did under Trump and Michael Pence, and that we don't want to go back to a Trump administration of chaos, where everyone around him is kind of like a Mark Robinson. I mean, Mark is perfect for the Trump orbit, because the people around Trump always end up in some kind of drama, legal problems, criminal, indictments. And thank you, Mark, for reminding us why we don't want to go back to that drama.
And speaking of celebrating this victory, Vice President Harris released a statement today on the record declines in crime, saying, quotes, "As a former district attorney who prosecuted homicide cases, I was proud to walk into the U.S. Senate and cast a tie-breaking vote on the largest ever federal investment in fighting and preventing crime. Our American Rescue Plan, that every single Republican in Congress voted against, helped deliver over $15 billion to cities and states to fund public safety and violence prevention strategies, hiring and keeping police officers on the beat while investing in community violence intervention, and taking other critical steps to keep our families safe." And so that's Vice President Harris taking, some credit, for the investments in public safety and prevention. And we'll continue to turn up the volume on this as we're 6 weeks out from Election Day. My thanks to Areva Martin, my friend and colleague. We're going to keep
enjoy that trip. Enjoy that trip and come back with your sleeves rolled up, ready to get to work, because we got a battle. And we're up for it. I think it was Walls who told us, we can sleep after the election. I think it was, second gentleman said we can sleep the day after. Wall said, forget about sleep. So
He did. Hopefully we have a good eye cream. My thanks to Areva Martin, the host of Areva Martin in Real Time right here on KBLA Talk 1580. The quiet part out loud when we come forward. You're listening to A More Perfect Union.
A safe place to go loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
That morning chill means truck season.
5 more minutes.
No snoozing. Do it all in a Chevy Colorado or Silverado, including the class-leading range of the Silverado EV.
Talking to me?
Work, play, hauling, off-roading, a Chevy truck can take it all.
Okay, I'm up.
Get 1.9% financing on all 2024 Silverado 1500 and Colorado pickups when you finance with GM Financial Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
1.9% APR for 36 months. Monthly payment is $2,860 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment 24.5%. Plus finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available. Releasing some of the offers. Take new retail delivery by 9/30/24.
Asthma Peak Week is almost here, September 15th through 21st, and it's time to pay attention. Peak Week is a critical time of the year for asthma flare-ups and can lead to hospitalization. Did you know that Black Americans are approximately 5 times more likely than white Americans to be hospitalized for asthma? Stay aware, have a plan, and spread the word on Asthma Peak Week. For more active asthma care tips, visit luma-edu.com. This message is brought to you by Amgen and AstraZeneca.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick. And it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors.
Use as directed. Vapo Stick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower Max use for adults only.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer whenever I want?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. 94% of Sleep Number smart sleepers report better sleep. JD Power ranks Sleep Number #1 in customer satisfaction with mattresses purchased in-store. And now, during our biggest sale of the year, save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Limited time. For JD Power 2023 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
Are you wet shaving? You'll get razor bumps.
Nah, Pops, I'm good with Gillette Skin Guard. How long you been growing that beard Mama hates anyway?
Since 77. I shaved and got ingrown so bad.
That's why I use the Gillette Skin Guard razor, face scrub, shave gel, and moisturizer. So I don't have to worry about new razor bumps or shaving irritation.
Gillette Skin Guard, huh? Your mama's gonna love this one.
The best a man can get keeps getting better with Gillette Skin Guard. Buy now at a retailer near you.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Break up with stinky clothes.
Rinse it out. Every now and then I get a little bit tired of the stinks that just will never come out. Oh, yeah. Feel straight. Every now and then I rinse it out. One wash and it delivers. One wash, it smells so clean. Downy Rinse and Refresh, it's a dream.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Fights odor in just one wash. Guaranteed.
The galaxy is safe once again.
In the pretend universe, kids play with pretend guns. In the real world, it's up to us to make sure they don't get their hands on a real gun. If you have a gun in the house, keep it locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Stay Housed LA has the resources you need to know your rights and the legal support to back them up. The COVID-19 pandemic has cost people their jobs and livelihoods. This has left an estimated 1/3 of households not being able to make rent and facing losing their homes. This is a fear no one in our community should have to face. You have rights, though, and Stay Housed LA is here to help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between the County of Los Angeles, the City of Los Angeles, and local community and legal service providers. Together, they provide tenants with the information and support needed to exercise their rights so they can remain safely in their homes. Find out more about your rights by participating in a virtual tenant workshop. Get the legal assistance you need. Find additional resources in Los Angeles County and the City of Los Angeles. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA County for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. That's stayhousedla.org. Or call their hotline at 213-694-0040. We've got your black with a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
Roll Charmin ultra strong when you drop in the beat. It cleans way less effort on your seat. Yeah, roll it, drop it. Yeah, roll it, drop it. Charmin flows extra strong from the road. Get your butt hella clean while you're sitting on the bowl. Yeah, it's all you need for that bathroom groove. Get you in and out without nothing to prove.
Charmin Ultra Strong cleans better so you can use less. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
Paul's new drone startup just lost its most genius computer scientist.
We just lost our best genius to some new genius who's got a genius new idea. I'm going to have to find a new genius or two have geniuses and fast.
He needs a computer scientist that can keep his startup from falling down.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate meets a scholarly match.
You are streaming and listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and just this past Friday, I was at the White House. We broadcast live from the White House, where moments after we signed off, the cast of The West Wing was live in the West Wing, and I thought it would be fun for you to just hear a little bit of First Lady Dr. Joe Biden and your favorite President Bartlett and what they had to say. Take a listen. And there you have it. There you have it. A little dose of inspiration there. It's always great to hear from any former president that has a positive message for the nation, even if they are a fictional president, as is President Bartlett from the West Wing. I just thought that was kind of cool. It's not, you don't always see a little flash of Hollywood in Washington D.C. And so, being there to witness it, I wanted to come back and share that with you. I don't know how many of you out there are West Wing fans, but it's really cool to watch old episodes of The West Wing and compare that to what's happening in the present in The West Wing. And in other news, I promised you I would tell you why I was in the Bahamas. I'm here again at the invitation of the Morehouse Alumni Association. They're hosting a Black Men's Summit. Some of the other featured speakers include the president of Morehouse College, Dr. Cornel West, will be arriving this evening, and he'll be participating tomorrow. And I'll also have a chance to speak with an intergenerational audience of young people and other leaders here in the Caribbean. And I have a chance to share my story, and you better believe I'll share some highlights with you a little bit later this week. We'll have to leave it there. My thanks to the entire village that helps us produce a more perfect union each and every day. Our executive producer, Tavis Smiley, our sound engineer, Miles Lowe, our show producer, Robert Battles, and our podcast publishing guru, Odell Bodie. Remember, don't panic, organize. Organize, organize, organize. Do what you can from where you are with what you have. Remember, these polls, the only thing they're really saying is that it is a dead heat in more places than not. And so that's an opportunity to roll up your sleeves and fight for the country that you want to see as the country you want to live in. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey. You've been listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.